This is Rukadowski of WeAreChange.org here in Paris, France. And of course, I am here to cover the 1-year anniversary of the Yellow Vests. And already it's been 1 year. Over 10,000 people have been arrested. 11,000 officers are reported injured. And people are expecting mass chaos tomorrow as protests are banned in the city. And there's even a tourist advisory telling people to stay away. Now, the French obviously have a very long tradition of protests and also historically violent protests, but even the ferocity of the latest Yellow Vest demonstrations, which have been dying down relatively, has surprised a lot of the French people, and a lot of them don't know what to expect tomorrow. But to talk about this and a lot of the underhanded kind of conditions that led to this kind of larger protest that we've seen start in France just a year ago, we have Ricardo from Rico Liberty Report. He's an expat and a YouTuber who's going to be discussing this issue plus a lot more in this video. Now, Ricardo, you're here in France. You've been living here. What are some of the underlying conditions that really you see happening here that have an effect on the global discontent that has been represented with the Yellow Vests?
Bonsoir tout le monde. Je suis Ricardo. Je suis American. What's up, guys? My name is Ricardo. I'm from Rico Liberty Report. That's right. I'm reporting to you live from Paris. And honestly, it's been a very big changing year. We've seen a price hike in food and little things, besides gas, obviously. Just little things, you know, taxation, we're paying more. And it's really the middle class that's getting shot down. And I think the reason why is just because a lot of people don't realize that people live pretty comfortable in Europe, and the middle class are finally starting to feel it. And so when you are starting to feel it in the outside cities rather than just in Paris, you really have to stand up for that and turn your, you're paying more for rent, you're paying more for gas, you're paying more for taxation on just your daily taxation. But I can't complain too much because the life here is really decent, and you can live pretty well. But I think just the price to live your daily life has gone up, and that's why there's a rise in the Gilets Jaunes. They came from the middle class of France, not in Paris, outside of Paris, in the regions that are the smaller cities. To be middle class is to not have to live in the big cities. The big cities is where you have to live with a lot of people and you can make a decent lifestyle, but you have to deal with sucking the teat, as I like to call it, as that concrete jungle you have to live in. And you're from New York, so you know. And I'm from Portland originally, but I've lived in Sydney, Los Angeles, Wellington in New Zealand. I've lived here in Paris for 3 years, and it's mental. How long did it take me to get down here? I was like 8 kilometers away. Wasn't even that far, so.
Well, there's a lot of big city problems here in, obviously, Paris, and a lot of the larger discontent happened over, of course, the, quote, savior of Europe implementing a, quote, carbon tax. And the way he implemented that was pretty much a tax on the rural poor, and this made people come out in droves in their mandatory yellow vest, because here you are told by the government that you need to have a yellow vest in your car for your safety. If you don't, you will be fined. And because of that, everyone here has to have yellow vests or face more ridiculous government fines to pay for the stupid, idiotic things that government does. So also, one thing that I really wanted to specifically talk to you about, since you're kind of a financial kind of crypto guy as well. When it comes to France, France is a major player in world economics, but I feel like there's also a translation gap between the world and France, since of course they're not predominantly speaking English here. But financially, what have you seen? I mean, when I messaged you, you were like, "Man, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening." What's happening here financially that people should understand?
Okay. Well, yeah, as you said, I am into the cryptos, specifically Bitcoin, not anything else but Bitcoin as a moment to protect your wealth. And so I do think a lot of people should be taking their wealth and putting it into Bitcoin and protecting it. Now, we talked about other projects. We've had a long talk, so we went into a lot of things. But yeah, honestly, guys, the rest of the world is feeling it a lot worse than France, but the Gilets Jaunes are trying to stand up for the middle class in France. And for this to go on for a full year and not get any kind of public spotlight on it for so short of a time, it's because they want to silence this. France is the political position on the media border. I mean, the European Parliament is here in Strasbourg in France, just east of Paris, and it's actually more. It's like the second most expensive. Yeah, it's the second most expensive city to live in France, and it's this is where, I hate to say it, but a lot of the elite people in the world live. So they're pretty comfortable, and then you've got UK right next door. And so, yeah, it's hard to really see France getting hit as much as a lot of other places. I know Germany's had a lot of political uprises. A lot of the leaders here in France are holding it down because it's the old system. It's really hard to change the political positions here. The banks of France rely on the European central banks as well. But the thing is, they've got a lot of wealth in the country. There's a lot of things that a lot of people don't know about France, and they like to keep it that way. Let's just say that.
Well, when you look at the bigger kind of global financial system, it all kind of teeters on like lies, bullcrap, inflation, large bubbles that are just hyperinflated to the levels that they were in 2008, only paved over and increased in size. So how do you see things turning out in the world stage? I mean, obviously, France is a first world country. People here have it significantly better. They work a lot less than the rest of the world. They have a lot more vacations, and there's no denying that. But truly, the history of the rebellions, the history of the people's voice, the history of the guillotine, the history of rebellion is very, very strong in France. I mean, I'm always remembered by the stories of the protest against butter. And, the price of butter going up, and there's specific taxes going up on dairy products, and the people being like, no, we're dumping all the butter throughout this entire city, and we're not going to use butter. And then, people being forced to back off, just like the French government here backed off on the carbon tax. The carbon fuel tax, they took away because of the people's voice here that was ferocious, that was loud, that was angry, and it was against everything the media was telling everyone that people loved. No one loved the neoliberal globalist Macron when he was instituting policies that were screwing the middle class over, eviscerating the key bastion of the institution that's separating us between the super rich and the super poor. No, this had a huge backlash, and I kind of call him the Hillary Clinton of France. Macron has really had to step back a lot of the bigger kind of globalist agenda, a lot of the bigger kind of taxes that he wanted to institute because of this people's voice. This is why I'm here. I mean, how do you see things playing out on the kind of world stage economically?
Okay, well, that's a really good question. The European central banks, I talk about this quite a bit on my channel, and it's just waiting to collapse, guys. It's being held up for a lot of reasons, but that's one thing that France does. They ensure themselves in a very significant position as the world administrators, or the world kind of bridge to the east to the west, and that's why they play a key part. They've won a lot of wars in the past, but all these wars have kept them comfortable, and the middle class are starting to feel it because, like I said, the very wealthy, rich people live here. And yes, it's nice, don't get it wrong, but it makes you feel kind of bad when you see Hong Kong, Venezuela, China, and the rest of the world just being destroyed, let alone America. Like, I'm an American, I feel for you guys. I was living there in 2013, and I haven't turned back because it was weird, man. It's just such a weird conundrum to have to face. And I talk about this on my channel. I talk about Bitcoin and how that's going to be the one massive movement in this. And I think France is just comfortable. So the middle class are uprising. They've taken kings' heads off for less than what Macron has done. This carbon tax, this fake tax that's making these wealthy countries even richer. You guys, if you go to my channel, I talk about the G20 and stuff like that. The people there are bankers. Okay, they're political leaders with bankers. Like, they're just getting their tap on the head for listening to the real hierarchy that controls all the world. And so France, they're feeling it, but no one gets to actually see this. And whether it's rubber rounds, and gassing people, and just it's only going to get worse, I think. But if you guys check out my channel, I talk about some positive things. I was telling Luke I really hate to be negative because it took me a long time to actually become open about it, like reporting, because I lost a lot of friends and family over talking about things that were controversial. And there's something that's one thing here in France is very important, that the French people do have very deep roots in their country, and so they're willing to always listen to the opposing side, and that's better than being dictated, I guess.
I mean, I gotta say, one thing I really, really like about the French is they don't hide their feelings. If they want to say la facture, they'll say la facture to your face. They don't hide it, and as a New Yorker, I kind of appreciate that as well. But they're not afraid to have those bigger political discussions. And truly, the Yellow Vests were really kind of the linchpin, the start against this neoliberal attack against the middle class that has inspired protests all over the country, because it showed the protests have been working. The carbon tax was put down because of the protest here. There's also 2 officers here that are facing charges for assaulting protesters. Again, you would not see this. I wouldn't personally not see this. I don't know, prove me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. I would not see this in the United States. So that's a very unique situation here. And will it be rekindled tomorrow? Well, we'll see. This is why I'm here. This is something that to me is important to cover, important to document, because the mainstream media has been, especially in the Western media, very unfair, to say the least, to the Yellow Vest movement. And it's only because of independent media was I able to get here on the ground and show the far left, the far right coming together against the agenda that's screwing everyone else over. Now, the protest movement has actually died down, and some people expect it to rise up to bigger grand proportions than it started tomorrow. Some people expect nothing. Some people expect chaos. But for sure, something is definitely going to happen. And this is something that independent media needs to be on the ground of, because if we wasn't here, the mainstream media would be telling you lies and selling you lies about what actually happened. So that's why I'm here. And I hope if you guys appreciate that, you guys not only share this video, but you support us through wearechange.org/donate. Again, I take calculated risks. I could never know if I could get seriously hurt or in legal trouble for the work that I do. So just having a little safety net for possible legal or medical funds means a lot. So I especially want to thank everyone who goes to wearechange.org and supports us that way. Ricardo, anything else you want to say about your work, the Yellow Vest economy? I'm leaving the mic to you.
Oh, mate. Cheers, bro. Yeah, actually, he's right. You got to support the people that you care about most. Financially, spiritually, and even having to what's it called? Be able to depend on them and be able to put them in check more so. So I really appreciate We Are Change TV. This is something that is the key part in the change is the numbers. You have to be able to do a massive. Everybody plays their part, and I appreciate you doing that. If you guys want to check out my information, I've got Rico Liberty Report here in Paris. It's on YouTube, and I always talk about everything that I'm doing. You guys, it's really all I can say is the fight comes to your front door. We all want to change the world, but really you need to change your own life and figure out what matters to you most. And those things shine out. It's so crazy, man. The answers are within all of us, but that's it. You have to act. And if you don't, well, you don't have to go out and report. You don't have to change people's minds. You don't have to wake people. You just got to wake yourself and then question yourself and keep that in self and check. And so, stay vigilant, guys, and keep on trucking. Keep on yourself, All
right, Ricardo, thank you so much for your time and showing me around Paris. Tomorrow's going to be a crazy day. I'm going to try to get my sleep. I'm anxious. I'm a little nervous, to be honest with you, but everything will work out like it has to. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, share it, because Google definitely won't. And again, this video would not be possible without you, and that's why I try to end almost every single broadcast by saying, love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on We Are Change.org. Holy cuts, freezing balls here.